Baby backs on the rotisserie, a new twist on ribs. Spit roasted duck, less fat, more pleasure. And a spectacular rotisserie prime rib. It's prime rib cooked to a turn. Rotisserie grilling guaranteed to turn heads. I'm Stephen Raichlen, and from the beautiful Tubac Golf Resort in southern Arizona, it's time to grill. Are we listening when you write into the barbecue board? You bet. And one thing you ask a lot is how to improve your rotisserie skills. When it comes to moist meats and a crackling crisp crust, few things can beat spit roasting. Get ready for a crash course on the rotisserie. Baby back ribs are a dish perhaps you never dreamt you could spit roast. I first saw the preparation in the Latin Quarter in Paris, where a rack of baby back ribs had been seasoned simply with herbe de Provence and salt and pepper, placed on the rotisserie. The beauty of the method is that gentle rotation basted the ribs and melted out the fat. They were incredibly crisp, but the simple seasonings meant this dish was all about the flavor of the pork, not the sauce. You know about indirect grilling and smoking ribs. What you may not realize is how terrific they are when spit roasted on the rotisserie. If you've never had a spit roasted rib, you're in for a revelation. And it all begins with a rub. Salt, cracked black pepper, sweet paprika, brown sugar, onion powder, garlic powder, fennel seeds, and cinnamon and ground cloves for sweetness. Mix the ingredients for the rub with your fingers, breaking up any lumps in the brown sugar. The ribs I picked are baby backs, each rack 2 to 2.5 pounds. On the back of a baby back rib is a membrane, the pleura, and you want to loosen it with a sharp instrument like the tip of an instant read meat thermometer, and then grab it with a paper towel and pull it off the ribs. Of course, you can ask your butcher to do this for you. Next, make a 1/2-inch incision between every 2 ribs. So that's 1, 2, incision, 1, 2, incision, 1, 2, incision, 1, 2, incision, 1, 2, incision. Then rub the ribs on both sides with our fennel seed rub. The ribs are now ready for skewering. Be sure to install the first set of prongs on the spit. Now insert the skewer through the first slit, weave the ribs back, then the second slit, then the third slit, then the fourth slit, and so on, until the rack of ribs is woven onto the skewer. And repeat with the second rack of ribs. Sometimes this is a bit of a struggle, but if you persevere, you'll have the ribs skewered as you need to. And add the second set of prongs. This also works well with lamb ribs. You're probably familiar with rotisserie grilling on a gas grill, but you can also do it on charcoal. Simply insert the end of the spit through the hole into the rotisserie socket and just rest the other end in the slot. And if you'd like a little wood flavor, toss a handful of soaked hickory chips on the coals. Now let me show you, we've set this grill up for classic indirect grilling. Drip pan in the center. All you need to do is switch on the rotisserie motor. To add an extra layer of flavor, spray the ribs with pineapple juice or your favorite fruit juice. Then place the lid on the grill and spit roast for 1 hour, spraying the ribs every 15 minutes. So what's the advantage of spit roasting baby back ribs? Well, first of all, the lateral heat and gentle rotation help melt out the fat and crisp the meat fibers. You wind up with a rib that has a very different texture than a rib that would be smoked or indirect grilled. And here's what the ribs look like after 1 hour of spit roasting. You can give them one final spray with pineapple juice. And how do you know when the ribs are cooked? Well, take a look. The meat has shrunk back by about 1/4 of an inch from the end of the bones. So take the spit out of the rotisserie and transfer the ribs to a cutting board. Loosen the first prong and pull it off. Slide the ribs off the spit. And you can see how tender spit roasting leaves the ribs. They're literally falling apart. And with the ribs, a pineapple ginger barbecue sauce. The recipe's on our website. So the next time you want a new twist on ribs, spit roast them on the rotisserie. Now, spit roasting is a great live fire method for 2 reasons. First of all, the slow, gentle rotation guarantees even cooking. No burnt spots the way you get when you're doing direct grilling. The second advantage is that as the food turns, it bastes internally and externally. So you wind up with food that's moist inside and supernaturally crisp on the outside. Prime rib may be the most expensive investment you ever make for a barbecue. But when you pull this bad boy off the grill, the kudos will make it all worth it. Spit roasting gives you the perfect ratio of moist meat to crusty exterior. And it all begins with this. This is a 2-bone section of a prime rib. See the bones here? It's just the right size for 4 people. I like to leave a nice thick cap of fat on the roast. That way, as it cooks, the fat will melt, basting the meat. The next step is to make the herb paste. Today I'm using fresh sage, chives, and thyme, but the choice of individual herb is much less important than the fact that you use fresh herbs. So place the fresh herbs in a food processor with finely chopped garlic, grated lemon zest, salt, cracked black peppercorns, and puree these ingredients together, adding extra virgin olive oil to make a thick paste. And here's what that herb paste looks like. Now, back to the meat. What I like to do is poke a series of holes in the surface of the meat, about 1 every 2 inches, going down about 1/2 inch. So when you spread the spice paste on the prime rib, you can actually force a little of it into the meat. When I graduated from college, I won a Thomas J. Watson Foundation Fellowship. Now, Tom Watson founded IBM. These fellowships were for a year's independent study abroad after college, only string attached. You could not do a conventional academic study at a university. I had done a lot of reading and writing about the Middle Ages in college, so I thought, why not write about medieval cooking? It was sort of one of those crazy ideas like my follow the fire idea that led me into the world of barbecue. But it turns out that medieval cooking was really very fascinating. And much like barbecue, it involved massive migrations of people and ideas and import of exotic foods. One of the nice things about working on a rotisserie is that you can cook the side dish at the same time. This one starts with fingerling potatoes and 2 heads of garlic broken into whole cloves. And it's important to leave the skins on the garlic. The skins keep the garlic cloves from burning. So drizzle the potatoes with a little extra virgin olive oil, and then sprinkle with your favorite Mediterranean herb mixture. Finally, a little coarse sea salt and cracked fresh black pepper. Just stir the potatoes and garlic to coat with the herbs and seasonings. The last step is to put the roast on the rotisserie spit. Okay, so put the first set of prongs on the spit and tighten the turn screw. Then skewer the roast crosswise, as you see here, and place the other set of prongs on the spit. Tighten the screw, and you're ready to spit roast the prime rib. We live in a world of growing homogenation. The same restaurants, the same coffee shops, the same chain stores selling the same merchandise are found on virtually every town in America, in every mall in America. Barbecue is some of the last truly indigenous, truly local food there is. And it's been important for me to travel around the world documenting authentic barbecue in places as far-flung as Indonesia, as Mexico, as Argentina. And to teach Americans not only how to prepare them here, but to appreciate them. I've got a couple of prime rib spit roasting. Here's what they look like after about an hour and a quarter. And let me show you a few things about the rotisserie setup. First of all, this particular rotisserie works by using an infrared burner. An infrared, it's a ceramic mesh that is heated by a propane flame. Also notice that I have removed the grates in order to allow enough clearance for the bones to rotate. Finally, the potatoes go in the drip pan, so you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You collect all those wonderful drippings from the prime rib, and they actually help you flavor the potatoes and garlic. And you see, this is what one of those garlic cloves look like, and you actually just sort of nibble it right out of the skin. So to check for doneness, use an instant read meat thermometer. Rare roast beef would be about 125, medium rare about 145. And when you insert the thermometer, make sure you don't touch the turn spit, which will give you a false reading. Okay. And we are in business here. Another test, just like when you're cooking ribs, notice how the meat shrinks back from the ends of the bones. Now, take the spit off the grill. You can transfer it to a cutting board. Remember, the prongs and screws will be hot, so use a glove or mitt to remove them. Then we'll slide off our prime rib. Don't forget the potatoes. What happens as the potatoes cook here is that they absorb the garlic flavor and also the flavor from the meat juices. Totally incredible. Okay, I've let the roast rest for about 10 minutes. That will make them juicier, and I'll put this roast here whole, and I'll show you how to carve this one. Now, a lot of people like to remove the bones first, which makes the rest of the roast easier to carve. I love these bones. Sometimes they don't even make it to the table. So let's see how we did. Look how moist this is. And with this, you can serve a fresh horseradish sauce. The recipe is on our website. And I am hungry. I like these crusty end pieces. And here are some of the garlic roasted potatoes. Let me take a taste. It's prime rib cooked to a turn. I knew two things, and one is that grilling is the world's oldest cooking method, and two is that it's the world's most universal cooking method. So I thought if I traveled around the world studying how people grill, I would learn a tremendous amount about culture. Because grilling is more than a cooking method. It really says who we are. Duck is a challenge to cook, but rewards you with powerful pleasure. The challenge and pleasure lie in the bird's abundant fat. The best way I know to cook out the fat, crisp the skin, and keep the meat moist is, you guessed it, on a spit. And it all begins with a rub. Start with Chinese 5-spice powder and add granulated sugar, black pepper, salt, and cinnamon. Mix the ingredients with your fingertips, breaking up any lumps in the spices. Next, the duck. Turn it over and fold the wing tips behind the wings. Using a paring knife, make an incision in the fatty part behind the legs and behind the wings, and in each insert a sliver of fresh ginger, and fresh garlic. Remove any pockets of fat you may find in the main cavity. Sprinkle a little rub in the main cavity and insert some more fresh ginger and garlic. Then, using a piece of butcher string, fold the tail in and tie the legs together to give the bird a compact shape. Now brush the duck on all sides with toasted sesame oil. This helps crisp the skin and adds an extra layer of flavor. Finally, sprinkle the duck with the 5-spice rub. Continue brushing the duck on the back and sides with the sesame oil. And again, season with the 5-spice rub. Finally, skewer the duck on the rotisserie spit, pushing the prongs into the legs. Put the other set of prongs on top. Snug it tightly into the duck. Now let me show you how to set up this grill for spit roasting. This grill has 3 burners, front, middle, and back. So what you do is you light the front and rear burner, and you turn the center burner off. place a drip pan over the center burner, and you'll notice I've taken out the grill grates to give the duck clearance to rotate. So simply grab the duck and feed the spit into the socket on the rotisserie motor. Make sure you're clear here. And switch on the motor. So the cooking time is about an hour and a half. Check the duck every 15 minutes. And as fat starts to accumulate in the drip pan, you can brush it on the duck. In order to become a food writer, which was always my dream, I realized I needed to have an actual hands-on culinary training. So I went to a newly opened cooking school called the École de Cuisine La Varenne in Paris. The year was 1975, the year that such young Turks as Paul Bocuse and Michel Guérard announced a revolutionary new style of cooking called La Nouvelle Cuisine. And there I was in Paris, right in the thick of it. "90 minutes later, and the duck looks delicious. Switch off the rotisserie motor and just ease the spit out of the socket, and we'll transfer the duck to the cutting board and remove the screws and pull out the prongs. Ease the duck off the spit. Oh, that was very easy. And the sauce looks ready too. So pour it in a serving bowl. And the recipe for the sauce will be on our website. I am definitely not a chef. I cook because that's part of my job description, but I really think of myself as a writer. And my job is, first of all, to help you understand barbecuing and grilling, to make you better at the arts of barbecuing and grilling. Now let me show you how to put this together. Start with either a Chinese pancake or a flour tortilla. Brush it with some of our barbecue sauce using a scallion brush. Arrange a few slivered cucumbers on top. And then carve some of the duck breast meat and skin. Look at that. And roll it up. Duck on a spit. Less fat, more pleasure. And that's the beauty of spit roasting, folks. It's really easy, great for fatty foods, and loaded with flavor. See you next time. My goal is to celebrate the human experience in all of its distinctive, quirky, local magnificence. Because people are faced with the same set of problems. How do I master a live fire? How do I take the ingredients that grow well here? Applying the sauce too early. And people everywhere have created these incredible grilled and barbecued dishes. It's really a triumph of the human spirit. Like, I don't know how to cut it.